Hello and welcome back to the Nordic Norfolk Gardener's Kitchen. Now we're inside today because it's a day of sunshine and showers, and while the sun has been shining, we've gone out there to pull some of our carrots. Now it is September, and September is a time when those carrots you sowed back earlier in the year are now starting to go past their best. Now myself and Mrs. W really don't like to waste anything, so what we like to do is to be able to pull those carrots and then to be able to preserve them so that we can enjoy them and use them later on in the year when fresh carrots are not so readily available. Most of the time we grow the same carrots year after year. This year was a little bit unique in that we grew two new varieties, at least that are new to us. They're not new on the market, but they're new to us. So I think it's only right and proper that we let you know just how they performed. I've taken these carrots out of the ground not half an hour ago. All I've done is washed them. Now of course there is always the monster. That's actually a Norwich carrot, that's got really big. Does rather go to show you though that carrots can go down quite a long way even in no-dig soil. So, but yeah, we all have the giant ones. That won't go to waste either, by the way, because what we shall do is chop that up into quite large chunks and we'll just use that in a trivet. Now this variety here that you can see, this is a variety called Little Finger, and I have to say myself and Mrs. W, indeed all of our grandchildren, we've all loved this variety. It's absolutely brand new to us, and that's about as large as it gets. Doesn't get much bigger than that, and it's great because you just scrub them down under water and then put them into a pan of boiling water just as they are. They don't require any other preparation, and so I can definitely say that that's a variety myself and Mrs. W are going to grow next year. Just for comparison, this is what the Norwich look like. This is the Norwich, it's an F1 carrot. They are a gorgeous carrot, lovely taste, lovely carroty taste. Slightly different from the Little Finger, they're of a very sweet taste. These have a very carroty taste. But again, they hold and keep in the ground really, really well. You can see they're still in quite good condition even at this late stage in the season. If you are new to gardening, you're wondering what that is around the top of the carrot, well, we call this the shoulder, and you usually know if a carrot is ready to begin its harvest because you can see the shoulder pushing up through the soil. Now that's all fair and well if you're harvesting that on that day, but of course if you're not and the carrot's going to sit there for a little while, the sunshine gets on them where it's been exposed and it turns them green. Now, all you need to do is chop that top bit off. It's no hardship, and again it's not wasted because that goes straight onto our compost heap when we chop the top and the bottom off. But if you want to be able to stop them doing that, then all you need to do is to go around and sprinkle some compost over the top so that the tops aren't exposed to the sun. A little bit like you do with potatoes when you don't need so much for carrots. And then this is a selection of Berlicum. And we've been really pleased with Berlicum. What I would say is that it is a main carrot, but it's a very good main carrot. It gets to a good size, tastes really good, and unlike the Norwich, it's not an F1, it's actually an open pollinated seed. And that means that you've probably seen, as we've done the plot tours over the last few months, that some of our carrots have gone to seed, and it's generally this particular carrot, the Burlicum. But the great news is that you can save that seed, because it is open pollinated, it's not F1. And indeed, that's what myself and Mrs. W are trying to do. We still have some carrots out there where they did flower, they have flowered, and they're now starting to set their seeds. So we'll let you know how we get on with that in a later video. Now, what we are going to do with these is preserve them by freezing them. We find that the best way to do that with carrots, they'll keep for a long time in our freezer. And there's always a time of the year when you can't get hold of a carrot from the ground. We are going to try sowing some carrot seed into our polytunnel, and we hope that we shall see a crop in the early part of next year. But what I don't know if that's what's going to happen, because we've never done it before. So, actually by preserving these in our freezer, at least we will have carrots to turn to, because there's no doubt about it, fresh is always best. But bearing in mind these carrots have been out of the ground only half an hour, they still smell wonderfully carroty, and it won't take very long to process these, and then they'll be in the freezer and frozen. The little finger carrots, they're fine just as they are. They don't need chopping or anything. What I shall do is just top and tail them. So take that off there, that off there, that off there, that off there. And we shall do that to all the little finger carrots that I've got here. And what we shall do, we shall pop those into some boiling water just to blanch them. And they will be done whole. They're not going to be chopped up anymore. They're fine just like that. And they're going to be blanched for roughly 3 minutes or so. This is what we would call a baby carrot, and that's going to want about 5 minutes blanching to ensure that it's done enough for you to be able to freeze it. We don't regard that as a baby carrot. This we do. Compared to this, which is an adult carrot. With the baby carrot, much the same as we did with the little finger. Just going to top and tail them, and they will be blanched whole like that. These little finger have been blanched for 2 minutes, and I've also got my phone with me and opened up on my YouTube studio page, homepage, because I just wanted to look up the video when we froze our beans. Because there's a comment on there from Nikki Clark, who put a great suggestion on there, saying that basically she did exactly the same as we were doing, but she actually put ice into the water, so it really cooled it down, and cooled it down much more quicker. And we took that on board and thought that's a really good idea actually. So that's what we have here. We're going to stick some ice in here to get this water nice and cold. Penguins would be happy in that. That's really gone quite cold now with the addition of the ice. So what I'm going to do now is to take these little finger carrots and plunge them into the freezing cold water. I always think they look so vibrant when you blanch them and then dunk them into the water. You can probably see as I'm putting them in there that there are some rather queer shaped carrots, but that's not a problem to us. In fact, there's one there, there's a little squiggler. That was where another carrot was joined to it. they were in love with each other. Now, as we did with the beans, I watched that video Mrs. W made. We're going to freeze these on this tray separately, so that when we come to put them into the bags, they won't all be frozen together. We should pop these into the freezer for about an hour or so, just so it starts the process, and then we can then have them out of there and get them into freezer bags. Of course, always remembering to label the freezer bag with the date on that you froze them. That's really important, because once these are frozen, they are best within 6 months, but they can be frozen for up to 12 months, certainly no more than that, before you want to think about, unfortunately, getting rid of them and replacing them with some more. If you haven't grown these varieties before, the variety Norwich, Burlicum and Little Finger, plus the one that we grow for autumn-winter, Eskimo, they are the carrots that we would always turn to grow. And if you're new to gardening and you're struggling to think what to grow, you won't go far wrong with those varieties, I promise you. It goes to say that it has been a really good year for carrots, which is a bizarre thing to say really, when we think back just how dry and sunny it was certainly during July and August. But maybe actually it did the carrots really good, because we certainly weren't able to give them copious amounts of water. We simply didn't have that water. It hadn't rained for so long. Those roots had to get down into the ground, and they had to find that water. So maybe that really did do the carrots good, not to have all of the rains that we normally associate with the good old British weather. Do let me know your thoughts, and let us know how your carrot harvest was, and indeed what varieties you grew and what you would recommend, because we're always open to trying new varieties and doing things in different ways. We shall see you on